Welcome into Locked On Phillies. In today's episode, I'm going to dive a little deeper into why I don't want the Phillies to go after one of the top starters left in free agency. We'll discuss on today's Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Been talking Phils baseball for years. Radio, 97.5 The Fanatic. TV, NBC Sports Philadelphia. Former collegiate and semi-pro baseball player and credentialed member of the Philadelphia Phillies media. I feel like, for Game of Thrones fans out there, I feel like the Daenerys Targaryen intro where she's got all these titles when I list all that stuff out. But those are my qualifications. That is what I do. And of course, I'm also your host of Locked On Phillies. Very happy to be your host of Locked On Phillies. I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We are indeed free and available wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, Odyssey, all that good stuff. Please continue to subscribe, rate, review, throw a like on the podcast, throw a subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're growing faster than we ever have before here on Locked On Phillies. So please, love to keep the momentum rolling. I really, really appreciate everyone who's tuned in, checking in and day out. Now, speaking of people checking in, I had a couple people check in after last episode because I talked about the reliever market and everything going on there, and we had that discussion. But there was something that I've brought up a couple times now about the fifth starting position. And I got some comments. Why don't you want to sign Carlos Rodon? Why don't you want to sign? I don't know why I said his name weird right there. Why did the Phillies let Syndergaard go? This, that, and the other thing. You still have that fifth spot in the rotation that we're not sure who it's going to be. And I have people taking umbrage a little bit. Maybe that's too strong of a word, but a couple of people who commented were like, I don't understand what you're saying when you say we don't need one of those top guys. We don't want one of those top guys. Well, there's a couple reasons, right? And let's basically break down why I feel the way I do about the Philadelphia Phillies fifth starter position. Maybe this is wrong. This is a point of preference. And I'm not saying that if the Phillies went out and signed Carlos Rodon, I'd say, oh, no, bang the table. Darn it, Phillies, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? I hate it. No, that'd be awesome. That'd be fine. You're bringing in more talent. But let me tell you why that's not what I do. So, the first thing is you have a veteran pitcher in Zach Wheeler, a veteran pitcher in Aaron Nola, a now veteran pitcher in Taijuan Walker. Not veteran yet in Ranger Suarez, but a younger pitcher who's been around the block a little bit. Sometimes it's good to have that infusion of youth on a pitching rotation, a guy that can learn from those guys. So when I look at that fifth starter position, I immediately think young guy because of the talent and the pedigree of the other guys in the rotation. Sometimes when you bring up a young pitcher or when a young pitcher gets his opportunity is equally important to who the pitcher is. You could certainly be put in a bad situation. I think when Spencer Howard was handled both in the minor leagues and in his call-up time with the Philadelphia Phillies, I think it certainly affected his ability as a pitcher. I don't think he was ever going to be incredible when the Phillies ruined it. But I think he could have been better than what he was and what he still is now with Texas. And the Phillies didn't really do him many favors with positions they put him in or how they handled him in the minors. Frankly, I think the faster you can get a pitcher to the major league level, as long as the situation is good and there's not too much pressure on him, the better. Specifically, when I'm thinking about why I don't want one of those top arms to come in and take another rotation spot, is I'm thinking one name. I'm thinking Andrew Painter. Now, I don't know if Andrew Painter will be called up by opening day. I don't know if he'll be called up this year. I think he should be. That fifth spot besides Andrew Painter would be Bailey Falter or Christopher Sanchez, or there could still be another signing out there that I don't want. But of the guys that are not a signing, it would probably be Falter, Sanchez, or Andrew Painter. Maybe Griff McGarry as well. When you look at it, he's a guy that's already made it into AAA. Andrew Painter still in AA, so hasn't really jumped that. But hey, You can accelerate these guys quickly if they're talented enough. Now, why I would accelerate Andrew Painter quickly is clearly the kid's talented enough. He's excelled at every level. He's got incredible stuff. He's disgusting. He should be at the major league level talent-wise right now. But the reason those guys take time is you try and build a young pitcher's confidence. Well, what's a more confident situation? Hey, go throw in Lehigh against these guys that you know you're better than, or come up to the major league level, use your stuff against major league batters, and know that every single start you make doesn't really matter. In the grand scheme of things, you've got Wheeler, Nola, Taijuan Walker, Ranger Suarez throwing the four of the other 5 days, and one of the best lineups in baseball behind you. You could lose every fifth game and probably still be a really, really good damn team as a member of the Philadelphia Phillies with what this team has put together this year. That's not ideal. And I don't think Painter would lose every game, but I'm just saying there's such protection for him in the rotation that I think that's important to when you can call somebody up. And that situation lends to being able to make that fifth starter, Andrew Painter. Now, you might say, well, Connor, why would you go with an unproven young player over a guy that's proven when you're in win now mode? And here's what I'll say to that. I don't think Bailey Falter has a higher ceiling than some of those top starters still available. I don't think at all Christopher Sanchez has a higher ceiling than any of those pitchers available. I don't see it from either of those guys. I think Bailey Falter's a nice fifth starter. Like, he's okay. He can hold the position. I wouldn't go Christopher Sanchez, but I mean, you always could if you needed to. But the thing with Andrew Painter is the payoff is just so high. This guy, I'm telling you, look at the numbers, watch the film, look at how this guy throws. He is a potential generational arm. That's a guy that at his best could absolutely be better than Carlos Rodon, could be better than Taijuan Walker, could be better than some of the other guys in this rotation. This he could be generational. I hesitate to say he is generational because baseball, it's tough to tell. You don't know until you know. But when I look at that high ceiling, you have that opportunity, right? It's kind of like the Brandon Marsh trade. Why go get a young player that hasn't really hit at the major league level, does some things nicely, but a project guy when you're in a win now mode? It's because having a young player that can grow with the team, build confidence, and taking a chance on a guy with a high ceiling is something you're afforded that luxury by the talent you have around that player. The rotation's no different. You're afforded the luxury of taking a chance on a really high ceiling move in Andrew Painter being called up to this team because of how good the rest of the rotation is. I'd be exclusively looking at the bullpen from here on out, maybe a corner outfielder or a guy that you can bring off the bench to DH if you don't really trust Derek Hall, which I do trust Derek Hall in the absence of Bryce Harper, of course. But that's basically it for me. And the one other thing that I want to talk about when it comes to signing another big name pitcher, throwing big money at another guy, I don't think the Phillies are luxury tax averse. I think they're willing to go into that second threshold. I think they still could go into that second threshold depending on the relievers they look at, and if they want to go with like a high-end bench player in the outfield or, the infield's already a little crowded. But if they spend less than that second luxury tax threshold this year, like there are steps to this. Last year, you go into the luxury tax and you make it to the World Series. And as an owner, John Middleton says, okay, well, I paid and it paid off. So the next year, what are you willing to do? Hey, I increased my payroll last year. My team got X amount better. I'm going to increase my payroll this year. My team's going to hopefully get X amount better again. But if you go into the second luxury tax threshold and you spend more than you're willing to, and you look at a situation where you're not improving, and trust me, it's hard to improve on what the Phillies did last year. They were 2 games away from winning it all. But that can lead to, hey, I've already gone into the second luxury tax threshold. I can't keep doing this. If there's only a certain number of years that John Middleton feels comfortable going into that second luxury tax threshold, I don't necessarily want it to be this year because this core still has another 2-3 years of contention. Maybe more than that, depending on what the young guys do and how they progress. So it's not the all-in point yet. The all-in point for me will be the trade deadline this year when they're competing for the NL East and looking at a 100-win season potentially and saying, hey, let's go get a top arm then if Andrew Painter doesn't work out. Because this is also not committing to Andrew Painter being part of the rotation for the whole year. You can go make a trade at the deadline. So, no, I'm not throwing money at one of those top end starters because of all those reasons I laid out there. It might sound crazy to you to not want those guys, but for me, let me ride with the young guy, take a chance on a really, really high ceiling prospect because you have the luxury of doing that because of the talent of this Philadelphia Phillies team. Just how one man sees it. Now, coming up next, I'm going to jump into something I find a little bit interesting. I'm going to discuss the rule changes again coming in Major League Baseball, and we're going to talk about how they affect the new Phillies and some of the old Phillies. We'll discuss coming up next on Locked On Phillies. All right, let me set you up for a scenario. You're hanging out with some friends, putting back a few drinks. A few becomes a few too many. As the evening comes to an end, people start to head out. You think of calling for a ride, but you live down the street. You can make it home okay. It's no big deal. What are the odds you're going to get pulled over anyway? And even so, what's the worst that could happen? Your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you lose your job, you total your car, you kill somebody. Everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk. Everybody. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that still doesn't stop everyone from doing it. Getting behind the wheel while under the influence. That's why police officers are out there right now looking for impaired drivers on our roads to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again, play it safe, and plan ahead to get a ride. It only takes one mistake, just one, to change your life or someone else's forever. So make sure you drive sober or you will get pulled over. All right, let's talk about some rule changes and some new Phillies because, frankly, man, Trea Turner signing as a member of the Philadelphia Phillies for the next 11 seasons, yes, 11 seasons, is something that it can't be understated how important it is. But when you look at the new rules in baseball, he becomes even more valuable. And there's a couple other guys. There's only one other guy that we're going to discuss, but we'll talk about some of the old players as well that could benefit from that too. So let's start with Turner, though. What are the new rule changes to baseball coming in 2023? Well, the first one that I think about is banning the shift. Trea Turner is rangy in the infield. Now, I had a couple people saying, oh, his glove cost the Dodgers in the postseason. Oh, he's not that good defensively, this, that, and the other thing. You can say what you want on the biggest stage. He may have made some mistakes. He's a solid defensive shortstop. I don't think there's going to be I don't think there's a scenario where at the end of this season, the Philadelphia Phillies wrap up. However, their season may end. Hopefully, it ends in a world championship. But however the season ends, I don't think I'm doing a podcast next November or December saying, man, Trea Turner's defense really cost him this year. That's not a world that I believe exists. So I'm not worried about the defense. And on top of that, he's range, his speed, his reaction time. He's very quick twitch. That significantly helps when you can no longer shift in the infield. There's some guys with really good gloves that don't quite have the range. Like Gene Segura was a solid glove, rocket arm. The range, not totally what the elite shortstops or middle infielders in baseball are. And he would make great diving plays, but some of the great diving plays Gene Segura would make would be stand-up plays for Trea Turner. Remember, Didi Gregorius was your shortstop for a lot of last year. Trea Turner's significantly better than him defensively. So that helps the infield with the shift because Trea Turner can cover more ground without having to shift. And it covers up for other young players like Alec Boehm at third base, Bryson Stott at second base. You don't have to worry about Boehm's range to his glove side as much because Trea Turner will cover the hole. You don't have to worry about Bryson Stott up the middle as much because hopefully Trea Turner will cover that as well. You're asking a lot from him, but with the shift coming, an upgrade to your infield defense is paramount this year, and the Phillies have made it. Now, these are some of my fun favorite rules. You got the bigger bases. Trea Turner is already one of the best base stealers in the entirety of Major League Baseball. Already that. And now the bases get bigger to try and increase stealing. I know it seems minuscule. It's like a matter of a couple inches. And it doesn't seem like it's going to. Listen, you're not going to go to Citizens Bank Park next year and see gigantic bases the size of like North America out there that make it so easy to steal bags. It's not even fair. No, that's not what's happening. It's a slight increase both for player safety, which is good, protects your new investment, Trea Turner, when he's turning double plays from the shortstop position, but also to increase the opportunity for people to steal bases. Trea Turner doesn't need the increase in that opportunity, but he'll certainly take it. His wheels are already dangerous. He's got a chance to steal more bases than he ever has this year with that new rule about the bigger bases and another rule about the pickoff limitations. Trea Turner's going to be a nightmare on the base pass. And there'll be other players on the team that will be able to fly. Thinking Bryce Harper, thinking JT Realmuto, thinking Bryson Stott, thinking Brandon Marsh, thinking these guys that can move and run and swipe bags even in the old system. They're going to be able to do more as well with these smaller base or the larger bases rather. And with the new rule that there's a certain number of pickoffs, you can only pick off twice, I believe it is, before you have to deliver the ball to the batter. Well, that really, really helps the opportunity to steal bags. I'll be interested to see how pitchers strategize against that. But for a runner like Trea Turner and some of the other fast guys on the Phillies that we listed, it's a cheat code. I don't know how much the Phillies will play small ball, but what does comfort me is in the playoffs, in big situations, Rob Thompson was very comfortable playing small ball with the Philadelphia Phillies power lineup, even because of the premium for runs. He's done it before. We've seen him do it before. Will he do it over the course of a season? I don't know. But the fact that I've seen it from Rob Thompson, at least in a couple instances, and now their team has some guys that can help do that. Well, if you can get Trea Turner, leadoff walk, steal second immediately, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Bryce Harper, or the next guy's up, or Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Harper, JT, or whoever. Listen, those are runs like every time. That's such a great opportunity, and that's really going to help with the rule changes. And the other thing with the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, admittedly, Taijuan Walker, I know he's not a slow working pitcher. He's not Chris Bassett, his former teammate, that takes forever to deliver the ball. But I don't believe he's the fastest, like get it and go. I know Ranger Suarez can go. I know Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola can both go. And I know whoever you put in that fifth spot, well, they're a young pitcher. They're going to, the saying, can't teach an old dog new tricks. I imagine that veteran pitchers are going to have more trouble with the pitch clock because young pitchers, especially if you call up Andrew Painter, well, you were using the pitch clock in the minor leagues. So you're used to it already. Another benefit of calling up the young guy rather than spending inordinate, that's the word, an inordinate amount of money on one of those top end starting pitchers. I promise I can talk. I'm going to get through the rest of this episode, but I just tripped up there. But so that pitch clock and also the number of pickoffs allowed, you're really going to have to work quickly as a pitcher in Major League Baseball next year. And I believe the Phillies have a nice rotation that's comfortable doing that. Maybe not the most comfortable in baseball, but not the slowest working in baseball by any stretch of the imagination. And that's a benefit. That's going to help the Phillies handle the extra steals easier. And also, listen, you got JT Realmuto back there. He's as good a counter as there is in all of baseball for players trying to steal extra bags on the Philadelphia Phillies. So these rule changes, I know we've talked about them in the past. Now, as we watch the 2023 roster materialize and see some of the additions, it looks more and more like the Philadelphia Phillies are going to be set up, as well as anybody, to play in this new era of baseball. So there you have it. The offseason, any way you slice it, has been a successful one so far for the Philadelphia Phillies. And still more to go as they careen towards spring training, pitchers and catchers reporting, and eventually opening day 2023. Man, I can't wait. I'm looking out the window right now here in Philadelphia, freezing rain, just thinking, get me to April. Get me to April. Let that sunshine. Let this team take the field. And let me watch Trea Turner bat lead off. Oh, man, it's right around the corner, folks. So buckle up, and we'll continue to be breaking stuff down here on Locked On Phillies. But when those new rule changes are implemented, man, I broke my promise to you guys. I said I was going to be able to talk through the rest of this episode. When those new rule changes are implemented, the Philadelphia Phillies could see even a bigger boost than what they've gotten just by the additions this offseason. Coming up next, we're going to do the Advent calendar, and I'll reveal the clue for yesterday. It is the first one that nobody's got. Didn't see a correct response. I got a couple guesses, but I didn't give you enough. So I'll tell you what the clue is from yesterday and what the answer is. And I'll give you the clue for the next Philadelphia Phillies Advent calendar player for today's clue. We'll discuss that next as we wrap up Locked On Phillies. Let me tell you about my friends over at BetOnline, though. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. You get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to college bowl season to basketball and the World Cup. World Cup finals coming up. France, Argentina, absolute banger of a game. Go check it out. They've got it all at betonline.net. If you love sports podcasts, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. They're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline is where the game starts. Okay, so yesterday in the advent calendar, I gave you the clue. Basically, it was my favorite Philadelphia Philly of all time. I also told you he was a pitcher. He was acquired mid-career by the Philadelphia Phillies, so not a homegrown guy. So takes out Cole Hamels. But yeah, you had to figure it was a guy in my era, right, that I loved watching growing up. It's unfortunate because we just talked about Kurt Simmons the other day. Member of the final living member of the Whiz Kids passed away. Well, unfortunately, my favorite pitcher is also passed it, and it was Roy Halladay. Was yesterday's advent calendar. Roy Halladay was my favorite player ever. Not even a close second. The way he went about his game, the way he attacked hitters, the way he attacked his work, his legendary work ethic. He even had a book, The Mental ABCs of Baseball by Harvey Dorfman, that I carried with me everywhere because he carried it with him everywhere. I've read that thing front to back so many times. I credit him with so little arm talent. I wasn't that untalented, but I wasn't throwing 99 by any stretch of the imagination. I was able to be successful at the collegiate and semi-pro level because of the mentality that I learned from reading the books he read, following what he did, trying to be like Roy Halladay. So that was the answer for yesterday. My favorite Philadelphia Philly of all time. Honestly, my favorite athlete of all time, Roy Halladay. Now, the clue for today. This one is also a favorite. This guy has my favorite name of all time of a Philadelphia Philly. And he was, an outfielder back in, let's see, what years did he play for the Phillies? 98 to 2002. This is like my youth. This is young Connor, like 6, 7, 8-year-old Connor going to the ballpark for the first time and saying, man, look at this guy out there playing center field. I think you already know who it is. But if not, he's also had a very, very successful career as a baseball broadcaster since retiring from baseball. Yeah, I think you know who it is. Go ahead and let me know in the comments. But we go for my favorite Philly. It's my favorite Philly's name. And if he's not, well, he's definitely top 2 with one other guy that may show up later in the advent calendar. So I won't give it away. But you got the clues. You can go ahead and get it done. And go ahead and guess that advent calendar Philly for today, the 15th of December. Well, that's all for today's episode. I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Now make your next listen Locked On Sports today. Man, breaking news from everywhere. Basketball, baseball, football, hockey. Steph Curry goes down in the NBA last night, just as the Sixers are about to play him. So a big break for the Sixers, but not great for the Warriors. A lot of big news around sports. Check them out on YouTube, Odyssey app, wherever you get your podcasts, and continue to check out Locked On Phillies, wherever you get your podcast, YouTube, Odyssey app, all that good stuff too. I will talk to you all next time, which is tomorrow on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.